So I started a new project recently, and I'm not a huge fan of how it turned out. Really, I didn't quite finish the project yet. But as you can see behind me, I have a bunch of random paintings, pictures hung up on my wall here. It was a project that I had planned. I posted about it on my Instagram page a few months ago, maybe like last year sometime. And my plan was that I was going to take all the art pieces that friends and family members have given me, pieces that I bought from creators online, and I was going to do like a mosaic or collage, something kind of artsy fartsy, something to continue to remind me to keep creating, and just the fact that I love artwork in general. It started off as just a post and an idea or a plan, a goal that I was going to do it at some point soon in the future. Very abstract thought, not much of a rhyme or reason on how I was going to get it done, where they were going to go. I had to figure out first where my wife would allow me to even put these things, and then which pieces I was going to put up, which ones I was not going to, which ones were going to have frames, which ones weren't. There was a lot of planning involved, a lot of things that I did not have, and a lot of time that I didn't have to solve all these different problems and to answer all these questions. So eventually, I ended up not doing it. I had them laid out how I wanted them to be, and then eventually they ended up getting stacked and put into a corner. But as I would walk by them from getting dressed, doing work in here, over time, they became a constant reminder of that was a goal that I haven't achieved yet, or that was a promise I made to myself that I haven't really kept. And I kept on saying that I'm going to get to it. I don't quite have what I need to do it right. I don't have the level, the rulers. I don't have all the art pieces specifically that I'm looking for, that I'm wanting. It's not fitting exactly the vision that I have in my mind, so I'm not ready to pursue that goal yet. But I kept on having that lingering feeling in the back of my head that that's another thing that you have not gotten to yet, and you keep saying that you will. So the other night, something gave me enough motivation and energy, enough fight to say, I'm going to go clean my guest room up, and I'm going to start hanging this stuff up in here. So before I lost that feeling, I got up and I started putting things up on the wall. I got what tools I had around, and I began putting the screws in the walls, getting ready to lay them out on the wall exactly how I thought that I wanted them. And as I'm going about this task, the first thing that was really bothering me when I was putting these art pieces on the wall was that it wasn't quite right. And I'm sure that you can see, I have some pieces like this one. It doesn't even have a frame, but I just have a couple. It's just leaning on a couple screws in the wall. Or this one here has a frame. These don't. Some of these aren't quite squared up with the wall and with the ceiling like how I would prefer. And some of them have a little bit of gap that I really do not want to be there. And I wasn't really sure which pieces to put where to get a certain effect or a look. But I kept on telling myself that I just need to get them on the wall some way, shape, or form. Get all these pieces that I've been planning on putting on the wall. As I finished one, and then I moved on to the next one, and then the next one, it became a little bit easier to ignore those imperfections, the lack of square or perpendicular measurement with whatever term that is with these paintings. The different little problems and things that I saw that I didn't quite like. It got easier and easier to ignore those things and just continue to move on, because I kept on telling myself, I'm finally doing something that I told myself I was going to do. And that's the most important thing. And I told myself I just need to get through it rather than focusing on all these little minute problems and details. I became less concerned with the multiple times that I missed a stud in the wall, or the times that I made extra markings in the wall, or hung up a certain painting in the wrong spot and took it down and put something else there, because in reality I have an adequate enough knowledge of home repair that I can make it to where you'll never know that these things are here. So I knew that I could come back later on and I could fix it. I could take them all back down again, rehang all of them if I want to, rearrange them however I would like. I can do that later. I just need to get them done. I just need to get everything on the wall. As I was going along, I could tell that this is not what I originally had envisioned, but I knew that I could get there. But the first thing I had to do was to start. And that's what brings me into the topic that I really wanted to discuss for this whole video, is that I think that oftentimes in life, people, I will make excuses on why we don't do things. It's because, well, I don't have the right tools to do this job. I'm not quite where I want to be in life to make this goal a reality right now. I don't have the proper lighting that I want. I don't have quite the quality of camera that I'm looking for. I don't have the right outfit to do this particular thing, the right clothes to wear to the gym, so on and so forth. We make these different excuses and reasons that sound good in our head as far as why we can't do what we want to do right now, and we put it off until later, hoping that at some point we're going to have everything that we need to get it done then. Now, unless you're building a house or having a baby, I can see where the proper tools, proper supplies, the proper timing is super, super important, and you can't really skip out on anything. That holds a lot of merit. That's very valid. And I'd say a large amount, if not the majority of times in our lives, we can usually get a lot further and feel a lot better about ourselves and about our lives in general by just starting. Oftentimes people will hold themselves back from chasing their goals and following their dreams, their different passions in life, because they don't want to start unless they're going to do it perfectly. They don't want to start unless they're going to be able to do it exactly the way that they're seeing it in their head. And they will foolishly convince themselves that perfection is actually something that's attainable for them or for anybody else, really. That leaves you feeling disappointed because either you weren't able to reach these very unattainable and unrealistic goals that you set for yourself, or because you never started on this thing in the first place. And every day, every week, every year, something reminds you of, man, that was something that I wanted to do, but I never got around to it. Hey, if you start, you can always make small improvements. But if you never begin on whatever it is that you want to do, it'll never go anywhere. Recently bought some artwork from offline from a couple different creators. I have some work from some of my friends. I have one piece that my wife will refuse to let me put up on the wall because of the dots and the scariness of it. Those are changes that I can make in the future. Those are things that I can make critiques on and changes on as I go along. So I have a lot of different choices. I can move these in all kinds of different ways. I can just take some of them down and just throw some of them away if I wanted to. And that same idea and that same line of thinking goes into a lot of things that you do in life. Whether it's a business, you could change your business name. You can change your logo. You can change your brand colors. I've changed my Instagram bio more than a handful of times. I've changed the direction I wanted this channel to go into versus doing interviews, music, and sports, to just doing interviews, to doing videos like this one-on-one. And you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to make changes as you go along. You don't have to have everything figured out at the very beginning. And that's something that we really fool ourselves into thinking, that the version that we see of people online today that we emulate and that we idolize and that we see as examples, that's where they were at the very beginning. It's very rare that we actually catch people from the start and see them growing and changing. We usually catch them on the back end once they've acquired everything that we see as valuable. Say, man, I want to be where they are right now. Not understanding that they were on a journey just like we are and just like everybody else is. That you're going to start on something and you're going to think that you want it to be a particular way, and then you may take a fork in the road to the right and go somewhere completely different that you never thought was going to be the direction that you were going to take it. But you can never go somewhere and make that turn, make that adjustment if you never start. Constant small improvement is both manageable and very encouraging. If we keep record of all the small steps that we take day after day after day, that can be a good encouragement to us, because we'll look at all the progress that we've made and say, you know what, I'm on the right track, I'm doing something good. Even if you've taken 5, 10, 15 steps down your journey and you say, you know what, I shouldn't have done any of that, I should have went somewhere completely different. If you've learned from that, you can take that knowledge and apply it somewhere else in life. You can take those same principles and those things that you learned to help somebody else or to help yourself. It's like the title of this video. The reason that you're probably not achieving the goals that you have for yourself is because you're focused on the wrong things.
I really tried my best to do a very effective outro here. My sinuses were not cooperating at all. I felt terrible. So I'll leave you with this one last thought. Don't hold yourself back. Don't procrastinate because all these bad ideas that are all in your head. In order to get the most fulfillment out of life, you do have to prepare, but oftentimes you have to just get started and see where things take you. And there's nothing really wrong with that. You have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.
I want to end it now because my sinuses are killing me. That's all I have for today. That's all I got.